Yes, it's Uncle Jegs. Hopefully we're all coming out of lockdown soon. I can't wait to start dishing out some detentions to my students that have been missing my online deadlines.
Never forget.
10S2, I am looking at you. So far we looked at the different types of pathogens, viruses and bacteria, and in the last lesson we looked at fungus and protists. You may be thinking that the world is a scary place now and you don't even want to be shaking anyone's hands. Social distancing for life. But our bodies do have mechanisms that help us fight against the many pathogens that we encounter each day. Hopefully after this lesson, you'll be like me and marvel at how amazing our bodies actually are.
Oh my god! Wow! Oh my god!
We're gonna be covering the human defense system. So let's chop some science. Here are the retrieval questions for this lesson. You know what to do. We treat leaky valves with biological and mechanical valves. The diaphragm is the muscle that changes the pressure inside your lungs, and gas exchange occurs in the alveoli of our lungs. We can split the human defense system into two parts, non-specific and specific. As you may guess from the name, all pathogens face the non-specific treatment, but only specific pathogens that you have developed an immunity to trigger a specific response. In total, you have 3 lines of defense, 2 non-specific and 1 specific. The first line of defense vaguely prevents pathogens from entering your body. The second line of defense deals with invaders that are able to break through the first line of defense. It is only when both lines of defenses have been broken that the targeted third line of defense comes into action. But let's look at the non-specific defenses first. The largest organ that you have is by far your skin. It acts like a barrier that prevents pathogens from reaching the tissues beneath. You may notice this on some people that have very oily skin, but all of our skin actually produces more than sweat. It makes antimicrobial substances that destroy pathogenic bacteria. When you cut yourself, pathogens then have a way to enter your skin. However, you bleed and then your platelets cause a blood clot and then a scab is formed that seals the wound. Finally, regarding your skin, just like with your large intestine, your skin is covered with non-pathogenic bacteria. This provides little to no space for pathogenic bacteria to hold on to. We will now turn our attention to the nose. I'm sure we are all well familiar with this lovely substance here. The scientific name for it is mucus. Here we have a brother that's just strolling down a lovely clean neighborhood, and then we have a kid that's about to make a terrible life decision. Here are some challenge questions. Pause the video and have a go. We produce mucus to trap pathogens and irritants. That is their main function. If you have asthma or a condition like hay fever, you shouldn't chop your nose hair because they help to trap the pollen and other irritants. This means that they cannot end up going down to your lungs. The last question requires some Sherlock Holmes types of deductive skills. If you look at the polluted area, the air is darker because of the pollutants in the air. You should then have been able to state that it will be the color of the mucus that we ought to look at, and it should be darker because of the pollutants in the air. We're gonna cover the windpipe and stomach together. The scientific name for the windpipe is the trachea. This is the late Latin word for rough. Rub your throat for a few seconds to work out why this is the case.
Finger in this position, place it on top of your throat and push it down. 1,
Lift your chin up.
2.
This GIF here shows the cells that line the inner part of your trachea. They are called ciliated cells because they are covered in this thing called cilia, which it just means eyelash in Latin. The second picture shows a cross section of your stomach. This spelling of mucus with the O in it is the adjective, and the other spelling without the O is the noun, but you can just call them the same thing for GCSE. Pay attention to the orientation of everything here. Here is where your food will be in the stomach, and here is where your cells are that surround your stomach cavity. Well, you know what to do when you see these boxes. We see that the cilia move pathogens away from the lungs. It looks like the pathogens aren't moving too far, but that's because this is a looping GIF. We all know that our stomach produces hydrochloric acid. This acid is able to kill some of the pathogens that enter via our food and drinks. For the last question, we can see that there is a mucus layer between the acid and the cells. This mucus layer is pH 7, so it's neutral, and it also has the hydrogen carbonate inside it, which protects the cells from the acid. So we have completed this section of the specification. This has all been the first line of defense. Now we're looking at the immune system, which is mainly powered by your white blood cells. Every pathogen that crosses that first line of defense will quickly find that white blood cells don't play that. White side, white way. It is very easy for pathogens to feel targeted when white blood cells are about the place. Phagocytosis is technically when a cell engulfs another cell, but you can just apply this solely to white blood cells. The GIF on the left shows a white blood cell chasing around the pathogen, and the one on the right shows an amoeba having a snack. The bottom picture shows a bacterium and a virus, and look very carefully at the labels. Have a go at these challenge questions. Looking at the pathogens here, we see that they both have antigens. This is what the white blood cells use to recognize that pathogens don't belong in your body. Breaking down the word chemotaxis, we get chemical and taxi. So the chemicals are used for movement. Chemicals from the pathogen allow the white blood cells to move towards them. You can think of this just like the way dogs can track your scent. The enzyme that breaks down pathogens is called hydrolase. Hydro is always associated with water.
Looks to me like Squirtle just learned how to use hydro pump. Squirtle!
So the small molecule that's released must be water. Up until now, the same pathogen could just keep coming into your body and running amok. We are now at the last line of defense. When your body gets tired of being disrespected by pathogens, they are now ready to roll on the pathogens like,
don't disrespect me like that. I know you got me on snap, dog.
Yo.
The first important molecule to look at are antibodies. These are Y-shaped molecules that help you kill pathogens. Keep watching to clock how. This next picture shows how antitoxins work. The name kinda already tells you what they do.
Well, obviously.
Now, complete these challenge questions. Antibodies bind to the antigens on pathogens.
Why are you running?
Different pathogens have different antigens. So they need different antibodies to bind to. Antitoxins bind to toxins and stop them from entering your cell. And would you look at that? Lesson done.
Fatality.
We looked at the human defense system. In particular, we looked at the skin, the nose, the trachea, the stomach, and the many functions of your white blood cells. Hope you found all of that useful, and I'll catch you guys next week in a bit.